Hi, I'm Stuart from the Norfolk Honey Company and welcome back to our beekeeping basics videos. Today we've come back to our lakeside apiary where we're going to carry out some general inspections, so we thought we'd bring the camera along and take a look in some of the hives. If you've not yet subscribed, please do consider subscribing. Hit the little subscribe button in the bottom corner there and you'll see a little bell symbol. If you click on that, then it will alert you to any new uploads that we have. Also, don't forget we've got our Facebook group, which is fast approaching 2,000 members of beekeepers, old and new. Some people that are just getting started and looking to get started soon. And there you can ask all the questions that you need to find answers to before you start your hobby. And also some of the more regular, I think they call them frequently asked questions, where you're not going to get shot down. We'll happily answer all of those questions and use that particular group as a resource to help you learn a bit more about beekeeping. So today we're going to take a look at a couple of hives that we split. This one is in one of the Maysmore poly hives, and we're obviously creating weekly videos with the poly hives, but this one is one that we split, and the original queen is in this colony and they've taken all the food down, and the split that we made is behind me, and we introduced a new queen into that colony using a queen cage. And so we're going to have a look just to make sure. Oh, in fact, there's the queen. I don't know whether we can get her, but she's just on top of the boards here. She's just on top of the frames and has just gone down in between the two frames. So always worth just checking what's going on. Just give them a little bit of smoke just to get them off the tops of the frames, and then we can have a look. And this is just a general assessment inspection. And what I'm looking for is to see how they're preparing now for the autumn and winter. Have they got sufficient stores? Do we need to give them some more food? Those kind of questions. And it's always worth going into these inspections with those questions in mind, so that you've got a specific reason for taking a look inside the colony. So we've got a damaged frame here, whoops, damaged frame, and it'll upset the bees a little bit, so we'll just give them a bit of smoke just to try and calm them down. And then we can have a look to see what's going on. And they're storing the remnants of the summer nectar flow. Most of the brambles have now flowered and are setting fruit. And in fact, a lot of them have got some really good looking blackberries on, so we'll be collecting some of those. And we obviously know that we have the queen in the colony because we've just seen her. So what we're looking for is the brood nest, just to make sure that the brood nest is okay. And I think what we'll do is we'll give them a little bit more food, and that will hopefully stimulate the queen into laying some more eggs. And these guys are a little bit fractious. They're not in the best of spirits. Nice area of brood on this frame. So we've got the brood here, and then there's a seam of honey stores running around the top, and that's the same on both sides. So that's good. And on this frame we've got lots of open brood, and there's some sealed brood, and you can see that the brood that's visible is a nice healthy looking colour, and they form a little C shape in the bottom of the cells, and you can see the segmented sections of the body plan within the larvae at the bottom of the cells as well. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for nice healthy brood in a good pattern in the frame. So one of the aspects of beekeeping is the assessment of your bees and the assessment of the colonies that you have. And if you've only got 1 or 2 colonies, it can be quite difficult to assess how the bees are. You might have some very calm bees, but because you've not experienced other bees, you might think that your bees are actually quite defensive in nature. But then when you open up another hive and have a look at other bees, you've got something to compare them with. And it's always worth, if you've only got just 1 or 2 beehives, it's always worth making friends with other local beekeepers, join a local association or club, and go along and have a look at some other bees, so that you then have something that you can compare your bees with. And it might also be that you're then in a position to be able to collaborate with other beekeepers to produce queens and colonies of the type that you want. So here's the queen. She's come down onto this frame, and she looks fine, she looks healthy, she looks in good shape. It's just a shame that these bees are a little bit on the fractious side and are pinging off the veil a little bit. And they're certainly up and into the camera, and you'll probably see the bees on the lens. There's 1 or 2 that keep popping up. But this gives us a chance to assess the colony, to see exactly what this colony is like, and then we can decide whether we want to keep the queen or whether we want to remove her and replace her with a queen with different traits. So we'll pop her back into the hive, because at the moment we're going to leave her in place. And obviously once you've marked your queens, they're that much easier to spot, so she was very easy to see. And always nice and gentle with the colony when you're inspecting them, and that helps both with the bees but also yourself. So if you're calm and you move the frames around in a slow, methodical manner, then that helps you as a beekeeper to also be calm and not get too anxious when you're inspecting your bees. So that looks as if we're at the end of the brood nest there, so we've only got maybe 5 or 6 frames of bees here, and then we're into frames that are being drawn and also frames that have got stores in. We'll just have a look at 1 more frame. This is one of the old frames, and there's no brood in this, and they're just putting stores into it. So we'll pop that back, and then we can close this colony down, and then we'll go and have a look at the colony that we split and see how the new queen is getting on. Okay, so this is the colony that we split, and we introduced a queen in a cage into this one. She was released from the cage because the bees hadn't chewed through the fondant, so we just took the sliding cover off and ran her into the brood box. And so now we'll just see if she's happily installed and hopefully is laying eggs and doing a good job in setting up this as a second colony. So we just have a frame of foundation, plus that's a frame of stores. So we've got eggs in this frame. Let's just see if we can zoom in and show you some eggs. So they look like small grains of rice sat in the bottom of the cell, and when the queen first lays them, they're standing upright at 90 degrees, and then they gradually fall over until they're laying on the bottom of the cell over the next couple of days, until finally on the third day, at the end of the third day, the outer casing of the egg dissolves away to reveal the larvae inside. So that's good. We've got the queen happily in here laying eggs, and we're hoping that over the coming weeks she's going to prove to be a little less boisterous than the parent queen from this colony. She's not from the same genetic material, she's a completely different queen, so hopefully these will be calmer bees than the parent colony. A nice area of brood there, looking quite good. So here in the UK we're coming towards the end of our beekeeping season. The honey flow, the nectar flow is all but over. Some beekeepers will be or will have taken their bees to the heather in the moors. That's something that I don't have the opportunity to do currently, so we don't take our bees out to the heather. So our crops are pretty much finished now. We do get some ivy honey in the winter, and that has a unique taste to it that some people absolutely hate and others love. So if you get a chance to try some ivy honey, then give it a try, because it is quite an unusual taste. I quite like the strong flavour, but lots of people kind of tell me that it has a medicinal aftertaste to them. I quite like the flavour of that honey, so we do collect some, but mostly we use it for our own personal use. Haven't seen the queen, but that's not a big issue. The brood certainly looks healthy, and this is obviously a colony that we've now split that increases our stock of bees. And although in terms of commercial beekeeping I'm nowhere near a large beekeeping operation, we enjoy making these videos. And oh, there's the queen. So we've got a queen here with a dot on her. And you'll notice that she had a white dot on her, and that was because when we were marking we didn't actually have the yellow pen, so this year it's a yellow dot, but with this particular queen we only had the white pen to hand at the time, so it's not a huge problem, but it's always useful to know what year the queen is from. And that looks as if that's the end of the brood nest here, so we'll just have a look at one more frame. Lots of rudimentary queen cups on this frame, but they're not going to be used this year now. Those will just stay there. I'm not going to destroy them. And then the end frame, the bees are working, putting stores away in. So we'll close these up. And you can see that there's lots of propolis along the edge of the frames and the runners, and this brood box will be one that we'll swap out, and we might even swap these bees out and put them into a poly hive. We've got a couple more hives to populate, so we might swap these out into a nice clean hive for the winter and then feed them. They've been treated for varroa using Mitaway quick strips, and you can see that these have the propolis where the pads were on top, so they were treated before they were split. And we just get the queen excluder back on, although the super doesn't have any amount of honey in it. We'll leave the super on them for another week or so, and then we'll remove it when we come round and take off all of the supers. There's a little bit of honey in here, so perhaps this coming week we'll take that off and extract. Okay, so another successful inspection, and that split has done really well. The parent colony are still really quite fractious and not very nice, so I think we're going to end up replacing that queen. But the other colony's building up well, and so we've now split that hive into 2 colonies, so next year hopefully we'll get a bit more honey production from them, but more than that we'll have an additional colony that we can use in our queen rearing processes. I hope you found that interesting. Don't forget to pop over to our Patreon page where you can help support us. We are a crowdfunding channel, and we rely specifically on support from our patrons, and I'd be very grateful if you took a look at that. I'll put all of the details down in the description below, but until next time, thanks for watching.